Hello, folks. Thank you. Thank you, Cat Mama. Not that it did anything different, but I realized I had to double check. So, this will mean nothing to the people who are watching the recording of this when it's on YouTube. However, I had it scheduled for the people on the Destination Decluttered mailing list. People on the Destination Decluttered mailing list know that I show up for a TikTok Live, and they know when I do it. Now, here's the deal. I'm a human being, and I make up this schedule, and I put the date a couple of places. There we go, Cat Mama. Thank you so much for making me double check my stuff. I didn't kind of cross-reference all the places that I have my stuff, and I had it on the place where the people on the mailing list know when I'm going on, that schedule. That was correct. I had it on my paper schedule correct, but here's the deal. On my my digital version, I had it starting now. And so I apologize for those of you who were on the mailing list that thought I was going to start at 9. Total human accident. I wrote it down on my computer calendar the wrong time. And yet, what the good thing is, yes, it's like you're amazing and everyone understands. Thank you, Danielle. I just feel like I need to. Yeah, you know what? I apologize, you guys. Here's the deal. The good news is that I'm here now. Second of all, it was an honest mistake. And third of all, what it did make me do is say, okay, for the next many days that are on the calendar that you guys see, I also I double checked that one too. So we're all good. Yeah. Good morning, Christina Glendale. Nice to see you. It's been a minute. Yes, and here I am, Mama Pepper. Yes, glad you are on and I caught you. Here I am today. So, stuff's gonna happen. You know what I mean? It's like none of us are perfect. Even machines that are supposed to be more perfect than us, like robots, even malfunction. You know? So I love this because people want to declutter while you're watching this TikTok Live. That's one of the many benefits of these TikTok Lives that I love to do, is to kind of do that Pavlovian, like, okay, time to do something. Christine Gormley is saying, good morning. Good morning. I will declutter my desk while listening. Tips on filing. Yes. I would say this. If I were at my own desk, this is what I would be doing if I were listening to a podcast or something like this. I would be categorizing the stuff that I have. I would be making, if I had a big pile of random papers, I would unrandomize it. I would put it into categories. Here's my Pico bill. Here's my Verizon bill. Here's my Chase bill. Here's my whatever. Here's this. I would put things into like items together, as we used to say in the visual merchandising biz. Then, before I filed, I would have a conversation with myself. Now, this may be something, I will be honest, this would be something that you probably, it would be easier for me to do this next part, while I wasn't listening to somebody, because I need to hear myself think. Because I would want to ask myself, and this is for anybody, get your stuff that's random, your miscellaneous, your stuff, and unmiscellaneous it. Categorize it. Put things into piles of like items, and you can do that while you are like listening to me. The next step requires some thought, because you're going to ask yourself, okay, what is this and why do I want to file it? What's in it for me? What's the benefit of me keeping this? Now, notice I just paused there, because what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to listen for your answer. Why do I get my Verizon bills in the mail? Well, because I've done it for all my life. Do I really need to keep the version of this Verizon bill that says thank you for your online payment? No, not really, because I don't need to prove anything. It's all electronic. If I needed to prove it, could I find it somewhere? So ask yourself, before you even think you're going to file stuff, use this as an opportunity to ask yourself, do I need to be doing what I was doing in the past? Okay, a lot of this is, I see the framework of what I just said, kind of copy and paste it into other things. Okay, and I just want to offer to you that this is a wonderful time to stop, hammer time, and to just notice what you've done in the past and say, does that still make sense today? And when it says, does it make sense? Is it giving me the life I want? Is this difficult for me? Is this a pain in the butt? Do I not enjoy this? Is there a way I can do this and not enjoy it? You know? So that is something I would help, you know? So I love it. So I love seeing my folks coming in. German Maid was worried I didn't get on at 9. Yeah, you know what I did? Frankly, I'll be honest with you guys. I did a 7 o'clock workout class this morning down the street. So I got up and I walked down there and I did this muscly workout thing because I'm trying to get my body into shape. And then I walked home. I was tired, so I went back to bed. So at 9 o'clock, I was snuggling up next to my husband and then saying, okay, I got to get up. I'm going to do this. I got a 10 o'clock TikTok live. It was just in my head. You know, it was a thing like that. And lovely to see you, Idaho Princess. Nice. I love it. Good morning to my favorite coach. Rock on. Beth is wonderful to work with. Thank you. You know, I'm here. And also notice this. So Jennifer, I want to offer to, yeah, you know, and my husband has a gig tonight. So he is sleeping over at our friend Dennis's, the bass player's house down in Maryland. So I figured, you know what, I'm going to snuggle up with him while I have the opportunity. So it was time well spent, you guys, okay? Doing something I love, snuggling up to my bubs. Best coast ever. Yeah, Christina Glendale. Oh, you guys, you're making me blush. So Jennifer, let me riff on this, okay? I hate paperwork. Get curious. Everybody, get curious when you use the word hate. And ask if it does it deserve it? I don't think paperwork deserves it. If you hate the paperwork, let's make it less hateable. Let's mess with it so you don't hate it as much as you do now and you have in the past. You probably have a system that is just too many steps. You know, just something, you don't have to freaking love it. Like the opposite of love is hate, but how about tolerate it? How about doing paperwork doesn't even raise an emotion in me? I am not indifferent. I do my paperwork, then I go do something else. I have had to get really used to that too. I used to freak out about paperwork. I was raised by people who freak out about paperwork. That's why I do my mother's paperwork now, because she still gets all freaked out about it. She's not going to change, but I am changing myself, and therefore I can help her better with hers. But I will say this. Get curious what part you hate what part of the process do you hate the most? Let's start there. What part of any process do you hate? Is it getting started? Is it the process? It's like you start, you do the thing, and then you're done, right? I talk about this a lot with the whole notion of the road trip metaphor, you know? I love it. Somebody's got people in their family who are in bands. Love it. GGX 2000 is saying, how many years back should we save credit card bills? Okay, so interesting. Fidamly is saying 7, my accountant told me. So 7 you could. But I will offer this. Now, double check with your accountants. But what I say is, first of all, you can look back. I literally logged into Chase moments ago because my husband thinks there was like a scam thing. You can download your statements online with any credit card company for at least a number of years back. The only reason I know to save your credit card statements, besides just peace of mind, is if you need documentation, if you are proving that what you charged was a business expense, that you need to prove to somebody that you made the charge. So I have heard accountants say, keep your tax paperwork. So if it's part of your tax paperwork, yes, but if you're just a regular Joe Schmo, and you're like, oh, look, I went to Acme, I went to Target, I went to Wegmans, I got gas at Wawa, you know, I bought something online. Why? Ask yourself, why? Who needs to know that you made those transactions? Okay? So just get curious about that. I only saved mine for about a year. Now, I will admit this. Again, being a human being and not being rigidly kind of perfect in everything, I still enjoy getting my credit card statements in the mail. And I will tell you why. One is, and I do access stuff online. I like the clear-cut notion of, because I pay my credit cards off in full, I like seeing the exact amount. that I'm supposed to pay, and knowing that it doesn't change. Because there's always that thing about pay your current balance. And my husband and I had words about this, about how we wanted to do it. I have a certain reason why I keep my credit card statements, but I only keep them for about a year. And then I reuse my folder every year. So when the new year comes around, I will go and put my stuff in a bag to shred, and then I will start the new year. Okay? So hopefully that helps you. But I say this to you and to everybody. First of all, I love it. Yes, Christina just said, I'm actually working on my binders now. Beth, I wish I could show them my systems and binders. Well, I will share this with you because I know Christina. Christina is a client of mine. And another reason, too, could be this thing. All right, so I said taxes because this is my perspective. However, Christina lives in a state that has hurricanes. Christina has, what do you call it, insurance on her house and her stuff. What do you call that? Property insurance, home insurance. If something like a hurricane hits your house and you need to prove that you paid a certain amount of money for some items so you can get reimbursed, that could be a reason for you to keep those statements and your receipts. Christina has been able to, homeowners, thank you, yeah, homeowners insurance. Christina has been able to recoup money from her homeowners insurance when these tragedies befall them because she is organized with her paper. Now, if you live in a place or you think that that's going to be something that's important, then maybe that could be a thing, but then you keep it in a thing that says homeowners insurance. You know, again, peace of mind, okay? So I say this to you and to everybody. First of all, hey, Abbott Elementary, nice to see you. Got a lot of familiar names and faces here, love it. My name is Beth. I'm a decluttering life coach, and my coaching is called Destination Decluttered. I say Destination Decluttered because I use driving and a road trip metaphor like all over the place. And I also have a mailing list, and I have one-on-one clients, and if you want to be one, I'll tell you all about that. Anyhow, I want you all to just realize that even right now, me saying, stop, hammer time, and just get curious about why you're doing what you're doing. First, even just get curious of what you're doing. Don't even ask why. Just notice what you're doing. When the mail comes in today, what do you do with the mail? What are you going to do with the mail? What is your habit? Do you have a routine? Do you have a process? And is it giving you the result you want? Okay? Yeah, I know. It's so funny. I apologize. I should have the thing. Yeah, thank you. And well, actually, you know what's cool? I will say this. For the amount of people who thought I was going to be on at 9, it means that my mailing list is working and that sharing the TikTok live schedule is working, as long as I show up when I said I was going to. Earlier I mentioned that I just got it wrong on my digital calendar and also just in my head, because I look at it before I go to bed at night. I take a look and say, okay, what are my I breeze block, you know, I road trip, I road map my day, and I say, okay, I've got these blocks. 7 a.m. I'm going to walk down to my legs class, and then on my calendar, on my one I was looking on my phone, said 10 a.m. So here I am. So all is well. So Eliz is asking what state I'm in. I'm in a state of confusion. I'm in Pennsylvania. You'll probably hear my Boston accent come out because I'll say the word wicked. You'll also, here's a really funny thing too. Notice how I say the word about. I think because I talk wicked fast, and I also have tried to play down the Boston accent that I grew up with for the first 30 years of my life, 30 plus years of my life, for crying out loud. I say the word about, and people think that I'm from Canada because I'll say about. I don't even realize I'm saying it, but I clip it. I don't know. It's just how my word forms. So, yep. There we go. Here I am. Here we are now. Now, Therese says, I feel more conjoined this time. Here's the funny thing, you guys. I do my TikTok lives at a different time every day, pretty much, because people tune in from different time zones. Your day is, my days, I have a flexible schedule, and I love it. So I like to be there, and I like to make it, as soon as something becomes too regimented for me, I get bored. I like to keep it lively and respond to my daily doings. And if I said, I'm going to be here Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, I would get bored for wicked easy. And so I don't do that. I schedule these out about a week at a time, because anything past 2 weeks, so funny. I think about when I used to work at Pier 1 Imports in the 80s and 90s, in the 80s, 90s, and beyond. And we would have our paper schedule. I picture it hanging in the hallway between the stock room and the sales floor. And it was about 2 weeks in a row. And every week it was a different schedule. I have always loved a flexible schedule. The thought of that Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 regimented thing, since the day I was born practically, it was something I railed against. And so to me, being flexible in my schedule allows more people to find me when they are just happen to be on TikTok, and notice what works for you. I do like a certain amount of structure. I do better when I have some structure and some routine, and as I just call it, like a daily roadmap. I start at 6 a.m., I end at about 6 p.m., and in between the two, there's stuff I do, and I write it down at the time I'm going to do it. And then, as I say, a list of things to do, you put some dates on it, some times on it. You flip it on the side, and it's like going from point A to point B. At the end of the day, I want to be closer to my destination, Yes, and see, Julie Rose says, us in California appreciate a later love sometimes. Yes, so I tend to have some 11s and 12s. Now, this also kind of bumps up against my natural inclinations and also my coaching calendar, because my coaching calendar is also different every day. I have clients that I do meet at the same time every week, but I like to be flexible about that. So that's what I do, and it's working really well. It really is. I screw up occasionally. I do things, I have time to do things that I wasn't expected to do, and then I do stuff I want to, but every day I start out with good intentions. I congratulate myself at the end of the day on what I did well. I get curious about what I didn't do, and I make a plan for the next day to include those things, okay? I share this with you so you can use this. If this seems like it would help you, here, I don't gatekeep. The gate is wide open. Everything I do it for you. I do it for me to see if it works. If it works for me, I'll be like, hey, this worked for me. Here, share, try it out. Okay, so this is interesting. Deb H533 says, I only do really well right before unexpected company or the trash truck is coming. Now, in the biz, I always feel like funny. In the biz, what we call this is, first of all, is that kind of external accountability. It's that external deadline of something's going to happen on a certain date at a certain time, and the pressure or the urgency or the dopamine of, oh shit, I got to get this done before the trash guys come, that you may be in the habit of only responding to that kind of thing. If it works for you, then go for it. I like to say, find what works for you and use it. It also can be a variety of things. You can use the external, our trash guys are coming tomorrow morning, so yeah, I will go around and I will pick up the trash and put it in there, before they come pick it up. Also, unexpected people. However, notice that if that gets you, if your house is looking good and feeling good and functioning like you want it to, and that's your method, rock, you're good. But if it doesn't work for you, get curious what you're doing in between those kind of peaks, those kind of, external deadlines, and what could you do in between to make it less kind of urgent in that way. Okay, so Deb is already saying it doesn't work. I don't have company very often. Yeah. So you could, if it works for you, you could do this. Again, talking about scheduling and talking about a calendar. You could invite people over 2 weeks from now and start straightening up now, knowing that they're coming over. Notice you said unexpected people coming over. You could invite people over and use that as a motivator. Yeah, GGX 2000. I do that. I run around before trash day for bigger things, and I tell my daughters to do the same. Every little bit helps. Yeah, trash pickup today, so I worked the cellar and filled up the bin. Yes, and now I'm in the cats with the dogs. Yes, the trash company feeling. Okay, so yeah, the trash truck feeling is real. It's been on my mind since Friday, and yet, okay, so a couple of things. A plan is just a plan. This is where the coaching comes in. I will say this because Anastasia is saying every time I plan, it never works. Now the question marks means that you're kind of open. Question mark is good. Period is kind of shuts stuff down. Question mark means, what's up with that? What's up with that? What's up with that? Every time you plan, it never works. Okay, maybe your planning could use some fine tuning. Notice what you're planning. Maybe you're planning too much. Maybe it's not fun. Maybe you're doing it for too long. I heard somebody on TikTok, because I get the self-helpers, on my feed, and somebody said, yeah, do something for 90 minutes and then take a break. And I'm like, 90 minutes? I mean, if I get in the zone, I can be at it for hours. But like, if I'm trying to plan to do something like decluttering, 90 minutes for me feels too long. So then I don't show up at all. Yeah, you can. So notice what you do. And if it works for you, great. But if it doesn't, let's get curious about it and let's break it apart and try something different. Okay? Even stopping to notice, to stop and look at your kitchen with fresh eyes. Does your kitchen, I'm just picking the kitchen as a random thing. Does your kitchen look like you want it to? Does it function like you want it to? How do you feel in your kitchen? You can stop and notice it, and asking yourselves those questions and then writing down the answers ideally will help you know what you're aiming for. Okay? I love it. Christine says, sometimes I'll say, I'll do this for 5 songs. Now that's a great thing because music and songs are a great way to measure time going by. Put on 5 songs you like and say, I'm just going to work until they're done, and then I can choose whether I keep on going or I stop. A lot of this is just getting started. A lot of this is seriously just getting started. So let's use some tools in the toolkit to help it make it easier for you to get started. So a couple of things for everybody I think would help. Okay? Bring your energy. Okay, I do a lot of staring at things and doing nothing. Okay, you know what you are doing though? You're thinking. Now it's funny because some of my musician friends, I think if it's a drummer friend of ours, has said, if you're thinking, you're stinking. But you may be thinking, you're probably thinking something about the staring at things. When you stare at a thing, you're thinking a thought about that thing. What is that thought? The thought you have about the thing is the thing that's keeping you stuck versus getting up and doing something about it. So notice the thoughts you have, okay? Notice the thoughts you have about your stuff. It's really kind of cool to realize that so much of this is up here. Your body doesn't move unless your brain and your body and your brain they both begin with B. I like H. I like your head and your heart. Your body doesn't move until your head and your heart say, yes, move. Other than that, I'm staying in bed. But what I do to help me is I will schedule stuff. I will pay for a class. Literally, if I had said to myself, notice the difference. If I was in bed this morning at 6:30 and my alarm went off, and I had not paid for a class that was down the street to go work out, I would not have gotten out of bed and done that. If my alarm went off at 6:30 and I said, oh, I can put on a video from YouTube and I'll do it for an hour, I would make excuses. I would stay in bed. I know what works for me, and so I use the tools that work for me. That helped me get out of bed and go down there and do the thing that I know is going to be good for me. Okay? But notice that your head and your heart need to be in alignment before you do anything. And that's a really good place to even start, is noticing what you're thinking about your stuff. Okay? Notice those things. Stopping and noticing. If you're in your car and you're just sitting there, oh, got some people walking by. It's a beautiful day. Sorry. We live in a place that people walk back and forth. Okay. So Deb says, my thought is, I don't want to throw this away. Okay, so don't throw it away. Nobody's saying you got to throw it away. Or are they? Who's saying you have to throw it away? Is it your backseat driver? Is it your co-pilot? Is it somebody out in the real world? Or is it just a thought you have in your head? Notice the voices in your head. I remember saying, it was so funny, I used to listen to a meditation app. Can't remember the name of it at the moment. And it was a couple of like people would get on there, kind of like doing meditation things. And there was this guy with an Irish accent. I wish I could name his name. And he'd be like, listen to the voices in your head, working out with weights. And it was like, what accent does it have? And I'm thinking, well, it has an Irish accent when I'm listening to you. Notice the voices in your head. Do they encourage you to do what you want, or do they discourage you? Are they saying, yay, go do the thing? Or they're saying, no, don't do the thing? I think yes is the voice of love. Pardon me, I'm just drawing this closer so I can read it. Yes is the voice of love, and no is the voice of fear. So notice what it is. If you had to choose what bucket, like you wrote down your thought and you had to put it like, on a little strip of paper, like a giant, what am I thinking of? Like your fortune cookie. Wrote down your thought, you could only put it in one bucket. Is it under the umbrella of fear? Or are you under the umbrella of love? I'm looking up at my umbrella. See, look at this. It's the umbrella of love. All right, everybody, we're under the umbrella of love. Yeah. So, yeah. Oh, you know what? Actually, it's funny. Somebody sounds like Peter Walsh, but I think he's English. Actually, I knew somebody named Peter Walsh. That's random. You know what? I want to say it was somebody Evans. I don't know. I'd have to check. But I think Bill Evans, the piano player. So that's just where my brain goes. Okay. I love it. Kimberly cleaned off her pool table and is so excited. Okay. Notice, you guys, too. Notice. It's all about noticing. It's about slowing down and observing what's going on around you. It's like a road trip, but you're not on the highway. You're on a road trip, okay? I want you to move forward at a pace, and I want you to sit there and just check yourself. Pull over to the side of the road. Us talking right now is us pulled to the side of the road being, okay, hey, wait a minute. You're driving. Are you driving in the direction that you want to go to? Are you excited about where you're headed? If you're not, cool, we're already stopped. Let's drive somewhere else. Where do you want to go to? I want to go to where people are doing some decluttering and they feel so good about it, Now, Barbie is saying, where do I put the keep things if I haven't uncluttered a space for them? Where to start? Temporarily. You're going to stage them somewhere, okay? This is what we would do in visual merchandising. I used to work at Pier 1. I worked at Mikasa. I worked at Filene's. Whenever you're doing a project, there needs to be kind of a staging area. This can be the corner of a room. It can be a box. It can be almost anywhere. It's the, yes, I want to keep these, but I don't know where their forever home is yet, so I'm going to set them aside while I am clearing the space for them. So it can be anywhere. Just make it kind of, I don't know. It depends on what you're doing. This is the difference between the help I can give and share on a kind of group call versus one-on-one. Like Barbie B, if you and I were, doing one-on-one coaching together, I'd be like, okay, so what room are we talking about? Where do you have room? Let's problem solve this. Like when you hire me as your coach, you get all of my hats and all of my brains. You get my problem-solving brain, my encouraging brain, my visual merchandising brain, my art history brain, my decorating brain, my problem-solving systems, process engineer brain, and my experience of having done this before. So we can only go a little bit, but I will say this on a very high level, is that just knowing you want to keep stuff, you've made a decision, you want to keep that stuff, while you're making space for it, it doesn't really matter where it goes, except you want to put it somewhere where you know where it's going to be and it doesn't break. Okay? I hope that helps. Okay? There we go. German Made 95. Yeah, it's already been a half an hour. Got my pet supply storage cabinet reorganized, cleaned, and a shelf repaired, and it only took 30 minutes. Look. Isn't that a good feeling? And look, we get another half hour to hang out together and have a cuppa together. Tiffy Claire says, if your entire house needs decluttered, would you start in the living room or the bedroom? I don't know. Where would you start? Where do you want to start, Tiffy Claire? What room is going to make the most sense to you? What room are you drawn to? Now, if you don't care and you want me to tell you, I would say start with your bedroom. The reason I say start with your bedroom, there could be a case made for starting for your bedroom, okay? Starting with your bedroom, it's the last thing you see at the end of the day. So it sets the tone for you sleeping. It's the first place you see when you wake up. That sets the tone for your day. I know when I wake up in my bedroom, in our bedroom, and I see the sun coming in, and I love the color of the walls, and I've strategically placed. Sorry, I've got You're So Vain just went through my head, but I'm stopping that. I have a wonderful piece of artwork that I see directly when I look up. There's very, very little. Our bedroom is the most minimalist room in the house because I don't want it to be cluttered. And I want to just wake up and enjoy and go, this feels good. It helps set the tone for the day. So if that sounds appealing to you, if that kind of draws on your heartstrings, and that sounds good, a place could be made for that. A case could be made. The other one is if you want to start in your living room, you're also up out of bed for most of the day. Maybe you go through your living room 90 times a day and everything's always yelling at you in there. So maybe you want to start in your living room. It doesn't really matter where you start, you guys. There is no right or wrong or perfect way to do it. The only thing I encourage you to do is just freaking start. It doesn't matter where you start because you're going to be doing the same process in every room. Start where it's the easiest. Start where at the initial time you get the biggest bang for your buck, the good feeling, of clearing off your surfaces so that you feel like, this wasn't that bad. I'll show up again tomorrow and do some. Do it. Find a way that's going to make it feel doable and easy and approachable. So when you go to get from park into first gear, it just is effortless. Like you just show up. Maybe that's picking a room that seems easy. Whatever room called for you. Maybe it's the room that has sunshine in it today. Maybe it's the room that has a lot of stuff on the surfaces where you can quickly go and do the surface clutter and feel good about it. And then maybe it's the one that you did the surfaces and now you open up a drawer or a door and you do some one bit of stored clutter, because three layers of clutter: surface, stored, sentimental. Okay, but the main thing, the more I coach, the more I know this, is that it's really about finding what works for you that gets you started and gets you showing up repeatedly and doing a little bit every day. It's not one of these long, I'm going to drive 12 hours in one day. You can't do it. You're going to run out of gas. Both your body and your car will run out of gas. But knowing how to stop and to get started again. Now, I know a lot of people who have been diagnosed or self-diagnosed with ADHD. This is something that can be a challenge. I don't see this as I almost said a death sentence, but I say this as encouragement. Finding ways that work for you, your age, your brain, your situation, your energy, your body. Discovering ways that work for you and creating, as I like to call it, your toolkit. I'm leaning more into what works for me. I work better in the mornings. I work better when I have external accountability to encourage me to do things I don't want to do. I swear that's why people pay me to be their coach. It's a weekly accountability check-in to do the things that they are kind of, still have an idea that decluttering is painful and stuff like that. Okay? So Scoop 615, looking for the motivation to start. Let me help you with this. But before we look for the motivation, I want you to clue in. Everybody, again, the more I coach, the more I realize it's so much up here, but also in here. It's your thoughts and your feelings that are going to be really the things that get you into gear or not. You can have a destination. We could go right for the destination. I want my home to look like this, and I want it to look like that, and that's what I'm heading for. It's almost like I'm starting a diet because I want to lose 20 pounds and look good on my bathing suit and yada yada. You can say, this is what I want. But unless you think and feel like you can do something about it, you're not going to start. So I like to say, clue in to what you're thinking and feeling, and we can change this to encourage you to start. So that when you feel like you can start, you're saying, okay, where am I headed? So everybody, here, you could take out a piece of paper. Look, it's a group coaching session. You could ask yourself the 3 questions I ask my clients when we start. Your destination. Here's three prompts to get you going. What do I want my home to look like? Write that down, whatever it is. How do I want my home to function? Now, I'll give you a sneaky answer to this one. To me, it's always going to be easy. I want it to be easy to this, easy to do that, easy, 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 easy like Sunday morning, okay? Easy like Sunday morning, okay? How do I want it to look? How do I want it to function? But most importantly, how do I want to feel in my home? Now that's one not many people think of, but man, that's where the good stuff is. Okay? Yeah. I love it. Christina's on a roll. She says, always remember, you can revisit a space. Tweaking is always an option later, and trust the pull. Yeah, notice what you're drawn towards. Notice where my hand and my heart go. Like when I'm saying I'm being pulled towards somebody. It's like one of those cartoons when Bugs Bunny sees the girl bunny and his heart goes like this and his eyes go like this and he's like thumpa, thumpa, thumpa. Kind of like when I saw my husband for the first time. Blink, blink, blink. But when your heart is drawn towards it, you're going to move. You're going to step forward. Okay? Now, Mary is saying, I look at the piles and I get/feel overwhelmed. I get overwhelmed by looking at the piles. Here's an interesting thing. Mary, when you're looking at the stuff and you feel the feeling of overwhelm, what are the words going through your head that are causing you to feel that way? Because I could look at a pile of stuff and go, ooh, this is going to be fun. Or, oh, this isn't that bad. Notice all those things that I just said. You may think something like, oh, this is too much. Why did I even buy this stuff? I'll never get done. This is going to take forever. This is going to be so difficult. Notice the stuff you look at talks to you. What is it saying? And do those words encourage you or discourage you? Excuse me. I'm burping up my bran flakes. But notice that, and also overwhelm. The opposite of overwhelm is down. I'm not calming down your nervous system, noticing how you're feeling, and working with that and changing that before you even start. It's going to make the drive so much easier. Okay? So yes, so don't look at all the piles. Look at one pile. Chunk it down. Breathe down. Calm down. Breathe down. You got this. Calm down the backseat drivers. We can do this. Settle down. Simmer down. Quiet down. All the downs. All right? Okay. Chunk it down. You can chunk it down by time. Shauna says, I'm 46, diagnosed ADHD, and what helps me get started on a big project is set a timer. Yes. They call it the Pomodoro method. The guy who invented this, who kind of branded it, was using a timer that was in the shape of a tomato. That's the only reason it's called the Pomodoro method. Set a timer. I use the timer on my phone if I'm doing something I don't want to do. Find out what works for you. Set a timer and say, I'm only going to do this thing for a half an hour, and after that, I can decide to keep on going or I can decide to stop. Okay? And set it for enough time that it doesn't feel like too much, but at least, it gets you going. All right? Mevins says, I love the question, does this bring me joy? That's a wonderful question to ask. I'm going to see if I can get this right. Notice what works for you. What sentences resonate with you? Resonate with you, and what ones are like, yeah, whatever. You know, that does not, again, resonate with me. We were in Los Angeles last week, and it was crazy. We're getting on the plane, we're sitting there in row 11, and then somebody says to my husband who's walking down, hey, I know you, and it was a fellow musician friend. He also was in row 11. So those guys chatted for a while, and as we were waiting for our luggage in Philly, we follow each other on Facebook, and I said something about being a decluttering life coach, and he said, and I'm going to try to get this right, he said, my dad taught me this. He said, don't ask yourself if you may need this someday, because the answer will probably be yes. But he said, instead ask yourself, can I live without this? So that may be a question that you could put in your toolkit. These questions you ask yourself. Can I live without this? I don't want to live without you. Something, something. You know, there's some dramatic 80s song like that. Okay. Okay. UX Shannon says, I have such bad ADHD. I used to clean during commercials. I don't have commercials anymore. Okay, but You know what? You can put on, actually, up thread, somebody just said, put on a couple of songs and say, I'm going to clean through these 3 songs. And as soon as the songs are done, stop that. Use your playlist. Put on a record. If you guys are old school like us, we have a record player. We have a turntable. Excuse me, we have a turntable. Put on an album and say, I'm gonna declutter for this whole second side of Abbey Road. And then when I have to go flip the record, I can choose whether I'm going to listen to it and declutter or I'm going to take it off and do something else. Get yourself started. If the way you used to do it, I used to do it like this, doesn't work anymore, start something different. And these things may work for you for a while and then they don't. So you try another thing. You reinvigorate your process. All right? Yeah, Amy is saying, I go through papers a couple of days and feel good afterwards. How do I motivate myself to get back into it? By reminding yourself how good it feels. Seriously, activate that good feeling in your heart. Oh man, it's going to feel so good when I just get that freaking done. When it's organized, that feels so good. Chuck Mangione, ba 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 da. It's going to feel so good when I get all this paper done. Ba 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 da. Clue into, this is what I call a kind of igniting the spark. Ignite the spark to get your engine, get your motor running, and be like, it is going to feel so good when I'm just done with that thing, which instead of having all that paperwork ahead of me, it's in the rearview mirror. Okay? So notice these things. And seriously, this is one of the reasons why you envision that end result. And you just don't envision it, but you feel it. You let that vision trickle down into your body and be like, oh man, it is going to feel so good to just get that done. I'm going to sit here for 15 minutes. I'm going to go through paperwork. I know how good it feels because I've done it before. I've gone through the papers and I know how good it feels. I want to feel good. Notice I said, how does it look? How does it function? How does it feel? How do I feel when I have done the decluttering? How do I feel when I have done my workout? Kind of achy breaky sometimes, but man, up here and in here, I feel like, check me out. I showed up for 2 days this week to do a workout. It's more than I did in the past 3 weeks. High five. Okay? So many ways you can do it. Okay? I'm backing up here just a little bit. Yep, everybody, notice. People are, Catherine saying, I actually purposely book in 15-minute breaks. Yeah, use your timer. Set time for timer. Carefully poke your toothpick into the thing and make some sunshine on a stick. All right? Yeah, Cat Mom is suggesting switch focus. Can't do papers every time. Move to a different room. Yeah, make it fun. You're not an automaton. I need to go through all the papers. No, you can do the papers, then you can empty the dishwasher, then you can fold some clothes, But notice, I will say this, that can be fun for a while, but notice that there's going to be a place in every one of those processes you stop. If you don't complete a process, you are doing it up to your comfort zone, and then you're stopping. And if you don't, and this is again where coaching helps, is if you're never finishing things, you get to the outer edge of your comfort zone, and instead of moving forward and kind of expanding your comfort zone, you're pivoting and just staying within it. Now, I was kind of writing a thing to myself earlier today. I'm definitely starting a podcast. I know that. And this is going to be one of those things where I want to kind of get into kind of a deeper thought about this. But instead of thinking of your comfort zone as something you're in or out of, think of it as expansion. I am stretching my muscles. I am expanding my comfort zone so that I can move forward and take the next step with whatever project this is. Okay? So, I hope that helps. Yeah, oh good. Mevin says that listening to you motivates me. Good. That's what I'm here for, people. I know what it's like to not be motivated, So I try to be on the motivating part of it. All right? I love it. Bobby Dugas says, just make us a playlist, Beth. You got all the songs in the right order today. Thank you, Brain. Yes, I actually do have a Trello list started with some of the songs that I do. You know what? Maybe I will have, Spotify. We have a friend who makes Spotify playlists. He's traveling at the moment, but when he comes back, I will see if he can put something together that I can share you a link. How's that? Okay. Now, user 1052 says, I'm really decluttering big time. Rock on. But I still move some things around to another room to decide later. That's totally fine. Just so you know, you're doing good stuff. You cannot be expected to make all the decisions in one day. Make the decisions that you feel good about making on that day and congratulate yourself for that. The things you're not ready to make decisions on, put them aside. But don't forget about them. Don't you forget about me. No. But notice that you may not be in the right head and heart space to make those decisions. But what you're doing is you're cleaning out the stuff that right now, you're doing it layer by layer. You're doing the things that feel easy. And then you are decreasing the amount of stuff. And someday, that stuff that you couldn't make a decision on, when you go back to it, you will make a decision that feels good to you. I don't want you making any decisions that do not feel good to you. Kind of in the short term, but also more so in the long term as well. And the short and the long term. That temporary discomfort in the current way to give you the long-term benefit, we talk about that. It's just like me saying, I don't feel like going to the gym today, and then I can't climb up a flight of stairs next year. You know, I will put myself through some temporary discomfort when I know that the long-term payoff is there. And in the world we live in, we tend to not be encouraged to do that. We're all like, I want it now. Okay? So, there we go. Yeah, totally add Chuck Mangione. You know? Gina is asking, can you repeat what the guy on the plane said? He said something to the tune of, you know what, I will reach out to him. He's still in Philly for a while. Not, can I, you know, not, do, might I need this in the future, but can I live without this? Am I able to live without this? You know, and something like that. I will get the fine tuning. I will get in touch with him, Scott Bricklin. I will get in touch with him for the fine tuning, but it's something of that ilk. Okay? See, and I love this. German Maid is saying, and it's so true. This is a seasonal, like to everything turn. It's a seasonal process. German Maid is saying, I decluttered, and then 6 months later, I went through the house again and did more. And this is because what you did was you got to your nervous system capacity, and you did what felt good at the time. Then you got comfortable at that level of less stuff. And then you said, hey, does this feel good, or could I do another sweep? And then you're like, okay, this feels good. I can let go of a few more items. It's not it is an organic process. You're working with your nervous system, you're working with your brain, you're working with your body, your capacity to make decisions and get comfortable with what you have. So it's not a linear process, except that you're aiming for what your actions are doing, are aiming for that thing you want, that destination. Okay? Oh, that's very nice. I just saw, Sia says, I've watched you over the last year when I'm on, and you're the only one that has actually helped me. Well, thank you. Thank you for letting me know that, because you telling me that encourages me to show up again. And if I'm doing this for you, who knows? I do this. I mean, I get paid to do one-on-one coaching with people, but I also love it when I hear from people that I don't even, they're pretty much perfect strangers to me, that when I know what I'm doing with my time, sharing my knowledge, my I want to say expertise, my knowledge, what's worked for me, tips and tricks, like the stuff that worked for me, when I can share this and it helps other people, that makes me feel really good. And when I feel good, I do good. I will show up again tomorrow at the right time. I double-checked my calendars. Okay, but thank you for sharing that. And Mevin's saying she's great and I love her. Awesome, you guys. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yes, and Amy, I am going to do a podcast, because what I realized is, you'll notice when I do these TikTok lives, I am doing my best to kind of, it's almost like a cocktail party. I'm trying to make sure everybody's good, and I'm answering a little bit, but I got to get to this person, got to get that to that person. I try to provide value. I try to provide some, like, a good the delicious and meaty appetizer. And I say meaty as far as like there's content there, I try to help you with that little tidbit. However, I like to go a little bit deeper, because that's where the change is made. When you're like, oh, now I get it. Now I see the stuff behind the stuff. And it's easier for me to do that when I'm not trying to make sure everybody here is happy. And I also don't get distracted by things by wanting to help people. So yes, stay tuned for that. It will be, the neat thing is we have traveled. My husband's going to help me with it. It feels like the right time to do that. And the people who are on the mailing list will be the get first dibs on hearing about where it is, when it is, all that good stuff. So if you're not on my mailing list, I highly suggest you get on it. It's free. DestinationDecluttered.com. Scroll down to the bottom of the home page. Put in your email address. Promise me you're not a robot, because I do not coach robots. Okay. Good stuff. All right, we got like 10 minutes left here. There we go. We all love the help. Awesome. Yay. Good stuff, people. Rock on. You know what? Yay. Good things. Okay. Yes, and actually, yes. And Abbott Elementary says, love thinking, if I have lived without it because it was stored for years, I can live without it. Yes, notice this, you guys. This was really kind of insightful to me, is you are making, people, decluttering is decision making, as I like to say. And when you put something in storage, you are already making a really low level but powerful decision that you don't need that thing kind of right now. Okay? Now, some things you put away and you do only need seasonally. My Christmas stuff is in the corner of the basement for whatever, 11 months out of the year, but I will need it that 1 month of the year. Notice the things, though, that you think you put away thinking you might need, but you haven't touched in a certain amount of time. Notice that you are currently living without that thing, and hopefully your life is going by fine without it. If it wasn't going by fine without that item, you would take that item out of storage. So notice that even by not using it now, you're already telling yourself you don't need that for who you are right now. Maybe it's clothing that doesn't fit. Maybe it's a mixer that you thought you were going to use and you didn't. Get curious about the stuff that you have in stored clutter, because that's the stuff that needs additional thought. To say, I thought I was going to use this. Am I using it? No. Do I think I'm going to use it in the next 6 months? No, unless we invite people over for fondue. I think we actually finally gave away our fondue pot. I'll have to check. But notice these things, I love it. Ivy says, yes, she gets to the point and doesn't sell herself too much. Yeah, I mean, seriously, I am here basically too. I'll be totally transparent. I love doing one-on-one coaching. People pay me to be their coach. But one of the things I know for myself, that if I were to shell out money to coach with somebody, I would want to feel a connection. I would feel like an alignment, a simpatico with that person, that they would get me. So I show up in the hopes that if you want me to be your coach and share your hard-earned money with me, that you feel like it would be a good connection. I know I'm not for everybody, and I don't want to be. I want to be for the people who get my goofy casualness and my pop culture references, but also my depth of knowledge and way that I can help you see things that you just may not have thought about these things before. Okay? So, yeah, this is part of that. I am actively looking for more clients because I have some spaces in my calendar and I love coaching. And I know how powerful one-on-one coaching can be. But I freaking also hate being sold to, or those things where you sign up for a webinar and they give you just enough information. And they say, well, for the real deal, sign up for my thing. And I'm like, oh, screw you. That was a bait and switch. I do not bait and switch. I share with you what coaching could be like, but it's me and you in a room of 150 people versus just you and me for an hour a week on Zoom for 10 weeks, 20 weeks, 30, however long you need it. Okay? Yeah, and here's a funny thing too, is Bobby is saying it's back to school here in Tampa, the big reset. Yes, I feel now that last week was my birthday, we're done with most of our traveling, I am feeling that change of season, that kind of, okay, summer's been fun, but that kind of, all right, I got to get back in the swing of things. That's why I strategically have more slots on my calendar open, because I know that sometimes it's seasonal. When I'm laying on the beach, I'm like, yeah, whatever, the basement, I'll get to it. But now it's like, okay, now let's get to it, So notice these things. Oh, hey, Jess in LA. Speaking of travel, thanks for the tips and tricks. Hope your LA visit wasn't too hot. No, it was perfect. It was perfect. It was It was a dry heat, which was totally awesome because when we came home to PA, it was so humid, whatever. And also, we stayed at a hotel that had a pool. So I was like, this is the life. I am living the life. This is awesome. So thank you for asking. No, it was we had an absolutely delightful time. But I'm also equally as excited to get back home and help some people with their clutter. I love what I do. So I love working with people, Mm. All right, so we have 4 minutes left together, okay? Let me set you out into the day with some good thoughts and some structure. Any of you who are my clients, you know that this is what we do on a coaching call, is we'll talk about theory, we'll get into some stuff, but at the end of the coaching call, I always want to be really clear to not just talk about theory, but put stuff into practice, okay? So a couple of things you might want to think about today. First of all, just slowing down and noticing. Taking the time to notice what is not working for you, even in just one room, clutter-wise. Taking the time to maybe jot down some notes to yourself or text them into a notes app on your phone to say, what do you want to change in this space? But also notice that if you're not easily starting to do those things, it's because you don't feel like doing it. Notice I'm strategic when I say that. You don't feel like doing it. So what can you do, because there are things you can do, to make it more likely to feel like you want to or you could do it, to make it feel doable? I suggest thinking of the word down, calming down your nervous system, chunking down what you're doing, writing down what you're going to do, setting a timer. Again, a chunk is a thing, is a finite amount of time, a chunk of time. But also, have fun with it. Whatever you do today, have fun with it. Whether it's, folding the laundry, I almost said folding the dishes. That would be really funny. Folding the laundry, putting away some dishes, putting some stuff in a Goodwill bag. Go out and have some fun. I'm going to probably drive to the dry cleaner today. I'm going to have fun while I'm doing it. I'm going to have, I'm going to take a shower. I'm going to, do things that make you feel good. When you feel good, you have a positive ripple effect. I feel good, so I come and share my positive ripple effect, and look, hopefully what I'm doing is helping you. But you can do stuff today to change the stuff you don't like. You have the power. I'm not giving you the power. You have the power in you. I've got the power. I've got the power. Just dust it off. Stretch it like a muscle. Maybe you haven't used that muscle in a while. Your decision-making muscle. Stretch your decision-making. I'm going to decide today to have fun. I decided today to do some decluttering. I've decided today to quiet down my backseat drivers and say, I'm going to clear off the bed today. You know what? Or I'm just going to put away my laundry. That's going to feel good. You know what? You know what I decide today? Those pants that don't fit me anymore, I'm going to put them in a Goodwill bag. I'm going to stretch that muscle and I'm going to strengthen that muscle. I'm going to show up today and do that. And then I'm going to be psyched about what I did. I'm going to forgive myself my trespasses. I'm going to forgive myself for what I didn't do. I'm going to be psyched about what I did do. And I'm going to do the same thing tomorrow. And then the same thing the next day. And every day is going to look and feel a little bit different. But I'm going to work with the energy that I have. I'm going to work, but I'm going to keep my eyes on the prize. I'm going to put my eyes focused on this destination in my heart of what I want my home and life to look like, how I want my home and life to function, and how I want to feel as I'm living my life. Okay? So I hope that helps. Evans is asking, when are you live again? Again, I'm going to be honest. I did double check my schedules. So if you're on the mailing list, you know how to get my the calendar of when I'm on for the next week or so. I don't have it in front of me, so I have to check it. I did double check my 3 areas where I have it, so it won't be at a bit of a misalignment today. But if you are not on the mailing list and you want to know when I'm doing a TikTok live, the easy answer is to get on my mailing list. It's free. It's very low key. This week, the people on the mailing list are invited to a Zoom in the evening. So we're doing a group Zoom. We do it once a month. To get on the mailing list is destinationdecluttered.com. Scroll down to the bottom of the homepage. Put in your email address. Promise you that you're not a robot. then you'll be good to go. Then you'll know when I show up, what time I'm going to show up tomorrow, the next day, the next day, the next day. Also, I would be foolish if I didn't say I also have spaces on my consultation calendar. So if you are serious about wanting to change and do your decluttering and you want some help, I'm a paid coach. I offer a 10-session package, and you get on that by, again, going to my website, destinationdecluttered.com, and seeing when my consultation. It's consultation. All it is you and I getting to know each other on Zoom for about an hour, and discovering if what you're struggling with is something I can help you with, and if coaching feels like it's the right next step for you, for you know, all that good stuff. Very casual like this. It's never anything. I don't suddenly put on a suit and, you know, things like that. So those are the things I do. Again, my name is Beth, Destination Decluttered. You could even like my TikTok page here if you haven't liked it, because then it will tell you when I show up, okay? Oh, there you go. TikTok user 1 says 7 a.m. Eastern tomorrow. Thank you. Yes, because I have a 6 a.m. client and an 8 a.m. client. So right between the two, I have a TikTok live. So I will see you all tomorrow morning. In the meantime, enjoy your day. Okay, do good stuff. Or as Katie from my Pilates place says, make good choices. All right, I'll see you tomorrow.